Before we start, please make sure to like this video and hit this subscribe button, so you never miss a story like this. And also comments where you are watching from, how many sons and daughters you have. Thanks. My name is Jessica Cole. And if you've ever been stabbed in the back by your own family, you're not alone. Because 5 minutes before Grandma changed my life forever, I was being ripped apart at the dinner table, and not by strangers, but by the people who shared my blood. You really think you deserve any of this? My cousin Vanessa stood up, wine glass trembling in her hand, but her voice solid steel. You were gone for 10 years, Jess. You don't just come back and pretend like you're still part of this family. I felt my fists clench beneath the table. I hadn't even touched my plate, and already the night had turned into a public execution. Excuse me? I looked around the room. 12 pairs of eyes staring, some pretending to be neutral, others hiding smirks. I didn't pretend anything. I am part of this family. I never stopped being. Vanessa scoffed and walked around the table slowly, like a lawyer preparing her closing statement. You ran away at 19. No calls. No holidays. You missed Grandpa's funeral, my engagement, and don't even get me started on how you didn't show when Grandma had her heart surgery. I opened my mouth. She cut me off. Busy. Yeah. We know. Living your glamorous life in California while we stayed here and actually showed up when it mattered. Heat rose to my face. You think I had a choice? You think I wanted to leave everything behind? Oh, here we go. She rolled her eyes dramatically, cue the sob story. Go on, Jessica. Tell everyone how hard your life was while you were finding yourself in LA. I stood up. You don't know anything about what I went through. I left because I was trying to survive. Because if I didn't leave, I wouldn't be alive right now. The room fell quiet, for a split second. Then Uncle Rob, who hadn't said a word until now, cleared his throat. Jess, no one's saying you didn't have problems. But your mom was sick for years before she passed. You didn't even come back for the funeral. That one landed like a punch. I turned to him, stunned. Don't you dare use my mother against me. She was your mother, he barked. She waited for you. Died waiting for you. And now you show up and what? You think this dinner is about you? Grandma raised her hand. Enough. But no one listened. My cousin's husband, Aaron, chimed in next. You can't expect to disappear for a decade and come waltzing back in like you're owed something. People here actually earned their place. And what exactly did you earn? I snapped, eyes locking on Vanessa. You treat Grandma like a burden. You moved into her house 6 months ago and started rearranging her entire life like it's your property. Vanessa leaned across the table, her perfectly manicured nails digging into the wood. I take care of her. I cook, I clean, I drive her to her appointments. What do you do? Pop in once a decade and think you're her favorite because you sent one birthday card last year? I called every week when she was in the hospital, I said, my voice shaking now. Just because I wasn't here doesn't mean I stopped loving her. Vanessa laughed bitterly. You're delusional. You think you can just come back, smile sweetly, and get welcomed like the prodigal daughter? Please. I didn't come for any of this, I said. I came because Grandma invited me. And just like that, the room got still. All eyes slowly turned to Grandma, who'd been sitting quietly at the head of the table, her hands folded on her lap, watching the chaos unfold like it was a play she'd already seen before. Vanessa's voice dropped. What do you mean, she invited you? Grandma didn't flinch. She looked at me, then turned her gaze slowly to Vanessa. I told her to come home. I asked her. Vanessa's jaw tightened. Why? Grandma reached for her glass of water with trembling fingers. Because I wanted her here. Because this is her home too. She left, Vanessa snapped. She abandoned us. She didn't abandon me, Grandma said quietly. But a lot of you abandoned me in other ways. I took a breath, heart pounding. And there's something else, Grandma added, her voice stronger now. Something I've waited too long to say. I felt it in my bones before she said it. She turned to me and smiled, not a sweet smile, but one filled with quiet, years-long certainty. Jessica, the house is yours now. You could have heard a fork drop. Vanessa gasped. What? Uncle Rob's eyes bulged. Mother, what are you talking about? Grandma took out a folded paper from her handbag and slid it across the table. I updated my will 6 months ago. This house belongs to Jessica now. Someone dropped their glass. I didn't move. I couldn't even breathe. And that's when everything exploded. Vanessa lunged toward the paper, snatching it up, scanning every line. You've got to be kidding me. This is a joke. This is a joke. I gave up my job to move in here. I do everything. Grandma didn't blink. You do what benefits you. Jessica gave up 10 years of her life for reasons none of you cared to ask about. Vanessa turned to me with pure venom in her eyes. You don't deserve this. I swear, if you even touch this house, You'll what? I finally said, rising from my chair with the strength I hadn't felt in years. You'll yell louder? Lie harder? You can't undo the truth, Vanessa. Grandma made her choice. And for once, it wasn't about status, or fake smiles, or who showed up for photo ops. She laughed cruelly. You're not staying here. I'll drag you out myself if I have to. No, Vanessa. Grandma's voice rang out like a judge's gavel. You will be leaving. That's how it started. A war that had been quietly brewing for years, finally boiling over on a dinner table full of fancy plates and broken masks. But if you think that was the end, you have no idea what came next. If you've ever felt like the black sheep, the outsider, the forgotten one, then listen closely. Because sometimes, the people who left you behind, they're the same ones who'll be shocked when the truth finally puts you in front. Keep watching. Because the fight just started. And trust me, this isn't about inheritance. It's about what was always mine. I didn't sleep that night. Not because of what Grandma said. But because of everything that came after. Vanessa slammed the front door so hard it rattled the chandelier. Uncle Rob tried to calm her, but his voice cracked in a way that told me he was more scared of her than angry. Aunt Susan just sat frozen, her mouth twitching like she wanted to say something, but didn't. Because saying something would mean picking a side. And no one at that table had ever picked mine. I stood in the hallway long after the dishes were cleared, staring at a photo of all of us from Christmas 2005. I was 17. Holding a mug of cocoa, wearing that ridiculous red sweater with the flashing reindeer nose. Back then, I thought this family was unbreakable. That no matter how loud we fought or how distant we got, we'd always come back together. Like magnets. Or blood. I was wrong. Jessica? Grandma's voice came gently from behind. Come sit with me. I turned. She was already making her slow way to the couch, her slippers brushing over the rug she'd owned since before I was born. Everything in the house was like that, old, precious, untouched. Like time itself had learned to tiptoe in here. I sat down beside her, trying to hold back the 1,000 questions bubbling in my chest. She didn't look at me right away. Just sighed and said, I knew they'd react like that. Maybe not with so much venom, but I knew. Why did you do it? I asked. Why me? She finally turned to me, and her eyes, God, those eyes. They looked like they'd carried the weight of secrets for decades. Because I remember who you were before life got cruel. Because I know what you gave up. And because the ones who stayed didn't stay for me. They stayed for what I have. That hit hard. I know Vanessa helped around here, she continued, but it was always about control. She wanted this house like it was a prize to win, not a home to love. You You called me from that shelter, Jess. You had nothing, and still you called to ask how I was doing. Tears stung my eyes. That call. I remember it like it was yesterday. I had $20 in my account. A bag of clothes. No plan. Just hope. And a phone number I dialed 5 times before I had the courage to let it ring. You're the only one who's ever seen me, I whispered. Like really seen me. She reached over, cupping my cheek with a trembling hand. That's because I never stopped looking. I broke then. 10 years of holding it in, the anger, the shame, the loneliness, it all poured out in silent sobs against the shoulder of the woman who was somehow still standing after burying her son, surviving heart failure, and raising generations of people who never deserved her grace. I thought you hated me, I finally said. When no one answered my letters, when no one called me back. They didn't show me the letters, she said quietly. They told me you'd cut all ties. That you were gone. I sat up slowly, staring at her. What? I only found out the truth 2 years ago, she admitted. When I hired that boy from church to help fix the gutters, and he told me he ran into you in California. That made my stomach turn. So they lied to you? For years, she nodded. Every time I asked, they'd say you didn't want anything to do with me. That you'd moved on. I believed them. Because believing anything else hurt too much. I felt my heart twist with something sharp and bitter. They erased me. Like I was some stain they could scrub from the family photo album. I came back the moment I had enough saved for a bus ticket, I whispered. I didn't even know if you were still, I couldn't say it. But I had to try. She squeezed my hand. You came home. That's all that matters now. But I wasn't sure. Because I knew Vanessa. This wasn't over. Not even close. The next morning, the storm hit. I opened the door to find a legal envelope taped to the front gate. My name scribbled across the front. In Vanessa's handwriting. I didn't even need to open it to know what it was. She was contesting the will. Trying to drag me into court. Trying to undo the one good thing I'd been given in over a decade. Grandma sat quietly as I read the letter out loud. She'll lose, I said. Right? Grandma didn't answer at first. Then, she's angry. And people who are angry do stupid things. But that doesn't mean they're harmless. I nodded slowly, heart pounding again. I'm sorry, I said. I didn't come back for the house. I would have stayed in a motel just to see you again. I know that, she smiled softly. That's why it's yours. But it's going to get ugly, isn't it? Her smile faded. Worse than ugly. 3 days later, Vanessa showed up, with a realtor. I'm not leaving, I said at the front door. And you don't get to walk in like this is yours. You think I'm scared of you? She spat. You've always been the weak one. The one who ran. Better to run, I said, than rot from the inside like you. She pushed past me. This house is half mine whether you like it or not. The court will see that I lived here, I took care of her, and you were a ghost for 10 years. I stood tall. The law doesn't reward manipulation. Neither does life, she hissed. But I do. That's when she leaned in, whispering something I'll never forget. Let me make this simple, give up the house quietly, or I'll tell everyone what really happened between you and your father before you left. The breath left my body. She knew. Or she thought she knew. And I realized right then, this wasn't just about money or property. This was a war about truth. About secrets buried so deep, they poisoned everything above him. I looked her dead in the eye and said the only thing I could. Then I guess it's time they knew. I didn't know how long I stood there after she left. But the silence in the house suddenly felt heavier. Like it knew what she'd said. Like it had been waiting for this moment. The moment the truth stopped knocking and finally broke the damn door down. And the moment I realized, no matter how far I ran, the past was already here. I made tea I didn't drink. Paced a room I couldn't sit still in. And stared at a family photo so long I almost forgot what was real and what was pretend. Because that's what we did best in this family, pretend. Pretend we were close. Pretend we were whole. Pretend the screams behind closed doors were just arguments. But I couldn't pretend anymore. Not after what Vanessa said. She knew. Or at least, she thought she did. And even if she didn't have the full truth, just the threat alone could ruin me. Not because I did anything wrong. But because when someone weaponizes your trauma, it doesn't matter what the truth is. It matters who says it louder. I walked upstairs and opened the door to my old room. It hadn't changed much. The wallpaper still had the little bluebirds I used to trace with my fingers when I couldn't sleep. The closet door still creaked the same way. But it smelled different. Like lavender and dust. Like time. I pulled the old shoebox from under the bed. I hadn't looked at it in over a decade. Inside were the pieces I swore I'd left behind. Photos. A letter I never sent. And one hospital bracelet with my name scratched in faded ink. I held it like it was made of glass. My voice shook even in the emptiness. He told me I was crazy. He said no one would believe me. He said if I ever told Grandma, he'd make sure she hated me forever. That's why I left. Not to rebel. Not because I was some out-of-control teenager. But because I knew no one would believe me if I stayed. Because when your own father is the one hurting you, you stop looking for heroes. You just pray to become your own. The next day, I called Vanessa. She didn't answer. So I sent her a message. 4 words. You want war? Fine. I wasn't scared anymore. She wanted to threaten me? She had no idea what I was willing to burn down to protect the last piece of love I had in this world. And she wasn't the only one who knew secrets. I still had Dad's journal. The one I found tucked behind his tool bench 3 weeks before I left. I never told anyone. But I read every word. His darkness was right there on the pages. His rage. His shame. His twisted thoughts about what he deserved from the world, and from us. He hated Mom. He hated himself. And he hated that I looked like her. That's why he did it. That's why he destroyed everything. I took the journal to Grandma. And for the first time in my life, I saw her shake. Not because she doubted me. But because a piece of her still loved him. Still thought of him as her little boy. And now, even that memory was gone. I need you to understand something, I told her. If Vanessa drags this into court, she's going to twist things. Use this against you. Against me. She'll say you gave me the house out of guilt. She won't win, Grandma whispered. But she'll try. I watched her eyes, once so bright, darken with something I hadn't seen before. Resolve. She wants a fight? Grandma said slowly. Then let's give her one. 3 weeks later, we walked into mediation. Vanessa was there with a lawyer twice her size and half her soul. She wore red, always did when she wanted to feel powerful. And she didn't look at me once. Her voice dripped sugar and venom. She abandoned this family, she told the mediator. She left without a word and cut contact for 10 years. I was the one who took care of our grandmother. I cleaned her house. I made her meals. I earned this home. And yet, I said calmly, you never once brought Grandma to visit me. Never once told her I'd been reaching out. That's a lie. I pulled out the stack of returned letters. Then explain these. The room went quiet. I turned to the mediator. I was living in a women's shelter after escaping abuse. These are letters I sent every month. Someone intercepted them. Vanessa's lawyer objected. You have no proof she did that. But then I reached for the final piece. Grandma's own handwriting. A letter dated 2 years ago. My dearest Jess. If you're reading this, it means I finally know the truth. I'm sorry I didn't fight for you when you needed me. I'm sorry I believed the people who wanted you forgotten. But not anymore. This home is yours, because you never left me. Not in your heart. Not in your spirit. And I will never leave you either. Love always. Grandma. The room fell so still I could hear Vanessa's breath catch. The mediator looked over his glasses. Miss Sinclair, would you like to respond? She didn't. Because what do you say when the one person you tried to erase is standing right in front of you, holding the truth in her hands like a torch? You shut up. Or you burn. Later that night, Grandma and I sat on the porch swing. The crickets were loud. The sky full. And I felt something in my chest I hadn't felt since I was a kid. Peace. She leaned her head against mine. You think she'll ever forgive me? I asked. She won't, Grandma replied. But that's not your burden to carry. She's going to hate me for the rest of her life. She already did, she said gently. But hating someone is easy. Loving someone, even after they hurt you, that's the hard part. And you, Jess, you loved anyway. That night, I didn't cry. I smiled. Because for the first time in a long time, I wasn't the girl who ran away. I was the woman who came back. The letter didn't come with a stamp. It was slipped under the door like a threat. Folded neatly. Red lipstick smeared the corner. No name. Just a single line written across the front in bold black ink. You'll regret this. And somehow, I already did, not because I lost, but because I won. The day after the mediation, I started getting calls. Old friends. Neighbors. People I hadn't heard from in years. Some were kind. Some weren't. But they all asked the same thing. Did Vanessa really say you lied about Dad? I didn't answer. I didn't have to. Because Vanessa answered for me. She went online. Posted a video. Crying. Saying she was blindsided. That she couldn't believe the lies being spread about her father. That I was using trauma as a weapon to manipulate a dying woman. She called me a fraud. A runaway. A thief in the night. The comments came fast and cruel. She's just bitter. Why'd she wait 10 years to come back? You don't tear your family apart just for a house. I turned off my phone. Closed the blinds. But I couldn't block out the ache in my gut. Because even if you survive the abuse, you never walk away clean. A few nights later, I found Grandma sitting alone in the dark. No tea. No knitting. Just silence. I saw the video, she said before I could say anything. I told her not to. I sat beside her. I begged her to stop. She wants you to react. I'm not going to. Grandma looked at me like she could see through the lie. Then she stood up, walked to her old writing desk, and pulled something out. A photo. Bent and yellowed. Of a woman I didn't recognize. She's the one your father hurt first, she said, voice cracking. Your aunt. My daughter. My firstborn. I froze. She ran away when she was 17, Grandma whispered. Told me it was drugs. Said she didn't want to be a burden. My throat tightened. You believed her? I wanted to. Because the truth would have meant I failed as a mother. Twice. Grandma turned the photo over. On the back, a single sentence in faded ink. If you ever wonder why I left, look closer. And just like that, everything shattered again. I went looking for Vanessa the next morning. Found her in town, dressed like grief and guilt had never touched her. She was laughing with 2 friends outside a boutique. But when she saw me, her face dropped like a curtain. What do you want now? She said, rolling her eyes. Another pity party? I didn't flinch. You posted a video dragging our family through the dirt. You lied. Oh, please. You embarrassed us first. I protected you for years. I kept my mouth shut when I could have destroyed everything. She stepped closer. Then maybe you should have stayed gone. We were better off without you. There it was. Not pain. Hatred. I looked her right in the eyes. Did you even love Dad? Or did you just need him to be the man you wanted him to be? Her lip curled. He was the only one who stayed. No. He just made it so no one else could. People had stopped to watch. A crowd. Small, but growing. Vanessa turned and shouted, "She's lying. She's just mad because Grandma picked me for everything for 10 years and now she's trying to erase me." You erased me first. I snapped, my voice finally cracking. You intercepted every letter. You told Grandma I didn't care. You made me the villain. Gasps. Whispers. Even her friend stepped back. But Vanessa didn't cry this time. She laughed. You want the truth, Jess? She hissed. Fine. I knew. I knew what he did. I found your journal when I was 16 and I burned it. I couldn't let it be true. I needed one parent who didn't leave me. The crowd froze. And in that one moment, that raw, brutal, bleeding moment, I didn't see a monster anymore. I saw a girl. Terrified. Alone. Twisting herself into knots to love someone who was never safe. The police showed up. Someone had called them, probably out of fear things would turn physical. But it never did. Because Vanessa crumbled before they even reached her. Fell to the sidewalk like a puppet whose strings had snapped. She screamed and sobbed and begged me to make the past go away. But I couldn't. No one could. I sat on the curb beside her. And for the first time since we were kids, I took her hand. Let it go, I whispered. You don't have to carry him anymore. That night, I buried the last of Dad's things. The photos. The letters. The ashes I never wanted. I didn't do it out of hate. I did it out of peace. He didn't deserve a place in this house. Not anymore. And when Grandma asked if I forgave Vanessa, I told her the truth. I don't know if I ever will. But I won't let her ruin me. Because forgiveness isn't a gift you give to others. It's the door you unlock when you're ready to walk forward without chains. The day Grandma handed me the deed, she smiled through tears. The house is yours now, she said gently. But the peace? That's something you'll have to build yourself. I nodded. And for the first time in my life, I felt ready to start. Not because I wanted revenge. Not because I wanted to win. But because I wanted to finally live. I woke up to silence. Not the peaceful kind. The kind that wraps around you like fog. Still. Heavy. Wrong. Grandma was already in the kitchen, staring at something on the table. A single envelope. No stamp. No name. Just folded with shaky hands. And beside it, Vanessa's house keys. She's gone, Grandma said quietly. Packed her things in the night. Left this. I stared at the letter like it might bite. Part of me didn't want to open it. The other part needed to. Because whatever she couldn't say to my face was probably the only truth she had left. I unfolded the paper slowly. It was handwritten. Messy. Smeared. Some words crossed out. Others underlined twice. Jess. I'm sorry. Not just for the letter. Not just for the house. For everything. I didn't protect you. I didn't believe you. And that will haunt me forever. I hated you because I thought you survived what I couldn't even face. You were strong enough to leave. I stayed. That made me feel small. So I punished you for it. Over and over. I told myself you lied. Because if you didn't, then I let the monster win. But I believe you now. I believe everything. And I'm sorry. You can keep the house. I don't want it. I need space to learn who I am without him, or you, or anyone. I don't know if I'll come back. But I hope one day you'll forgive me. Even if we never speak again. You deserved a sister. A real one. Maybe I'll try to become that. Wherever I go. Vanessa. I don't know how long I stood there holding the letter. Could have been minutes. Could have been hours. But when I finally looked up, Grandma was crying. I lost both of you once, she whispered. I won't lose you again. I hugged her tight, burying my face in her shoulder. We didn't speak. We didn't have to. Grief has its own language, and we both were fluent. The next few days passed in slow motion. No word from Vanessa. No calls. No posts. Just a voicemail to Grandma that said, "Don't worry. I'm safe. I just need time." I cleaned out her room. Half-empty drawers. A dusty perfume bottle. And under her mattress, a shoebox I recognized. My heart stopped when I opened it. Inside were the letters I'd sent to Grandma. All of them. Every single one. Some were torn at the corners. Some unopened. But they were there. She'd kept them. Which meant she'd read them. Which meant she knew I never stopped trying. And that's when something else happened. While going through the box, I found another envelope. No name. No return address. But it had a date. From nearly 20 years ago. I opened it out of instinct. And I wish I hadn't. The letter was from my father. Not to Vanessa. To Grandma. Mom. You need to get that girl in line. She's lying. She's trying to turn you against me. And if you don't handle it, I will. I've worked too hard to keep this family together. You think anyone else would put food on your table? Pay your mortgage? You better remember who built this house. You raised me. Now back me. Or lose me. Don't let her ruin everything we've built. She's just a child. She'll forget. You should too. Fix this. Your son. I dropped the letter like it burned. My knees buckled. I sat on the floor, heart racing, lungs empty. He knew. He threatened her. And she stayed silent anyway. But not out of fear. Out of loyalty. He weaponized the house. The money. Her shame. And she bought it. All those years I thought Grandma didn't believe me. Turns out she did. She just didn't want to choose. That night, I confronted her. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just handed her the letter. Waited. She read it slowly. Then folded it with shaking hands. I burned the first one, she whispered. He wrote another. And another. Each time angrier than the last. Why didn't you stop him? I tried, she said. But by the time I believed you, you were already gone. And I thought maybe if I stayed close, I could protect Vanessa. But you protected him. Her eyes welled up. Yes. And it is the greatest mistake of my life. That's when I realized. This house wasn't a home. It was a prison made of silence. Built by a man who used guilt as nails. Fear as walls. Control as the key. And we all lived inside it. Until we didn't. The next morning, I did something no one expected. I packed a bag. Left the deed on the kitchen counter. And walked out the front door. I needed distance. Not from Grandma. Not from Vanessa. From the history. The ghosts. The weight. Because forgiveness is healing, but forgetting is not a requirement. Sometimes loving someone means not letting them rewrite what they broke. I drove to the beach. Stayed in a motel that smelled like salt and cigarettes. And for the first time in years, I slept through the night. No nightmares. No guilt. No house creaking above me like footsteps from the past. Just the ocean. Loud enough to drown out every what if. I don't know where Vanessa is now. Maybe she's doing the same thing. Healing. Rebuilding. Maybe she's still running. I hope not. Because some ghosts follow you, no matter how far you go. You can only bury them if you stop digging the same grave. They say family dinners are supposed to bring people together. But this one felt like a silent war. The table was perfectly set. Candles flickered. The scent of rosemary chicken filled the air. But no one touched their plates. Vanessa was there. Back from wherever she'd gone. Quiet. Paler. Older. But different. Her eyes no longer sharp, just tired. We nodded when we saw each other. Not a smile. Not a hug. Just acknowledgement. Grandma sat at the head of the table, her frail hands folded. And around her, the rest of the family, the cousins, the uncles, the aunts, the same ones who used to whisper that I was troubled, difficult, ungrateful. They showed up that night with nice shirts and fake smiles. Because everyone had heard the same rumor. Grandma was finally updating the will. And someone was about to get the house. I sat quietly, cutting my chicken into small, nervous bites. Every clink of a fork felt like a warning bell. Vanessa didn't eat. She stared at her glass like it held answers. Then Grandma stood. Everyone straightened like puppets. She looked around slowly, her voice soft but clear. I know you're all wondering why I asked you here tonight. No one answered. She smiled. It's not because I'm dying. Not yet, anyway. I still plan to make it to 90. A few polite chuckles. But it is time to set the record straight. About everything. That's when the mood shifted. Grandma reached into a small envelope and pulled out a single-page document. This, she said, is the revised deed to the house. She looked directly at me. I've signed it over. Effective immediately. My stomach flipped. Vanessa's eyes widened. Everyone else looked confused. But not angry. Yet. Then Grandma said the words that made the room stop breathing. The house belongs to Jessica now. It was dead silent. Until Uncle Rick scoffed and said, "Wait. What?" Aunt Lydia blinked. You mean when you pass? Grandma shook her head. No. As of today. I've already filed the papers. And that's when the chaos broke loose. Voices exploded from every direction. You're joking, right? She left. She hasn't even been around for years. Where was she when you were sick last winter? She's not the only granddaughter you have. She's not even married. What's she going to do with a house? Vanessa stood up slowly. Everyone went quiet. She looked at me. Then back at Grandma. I told you to give it to her, she said. Gasps. Literal gasps. Someone dropped a fork. I don't want the house. I never did, Vanessa said calmly. Jess deserved it from the beginning. And we all know it. No one knew what to say after that. Because the girl they'd all quietly picked as Grandma's favorite had just bowed out. But Grandma wasn't finished. She looked directly at the group. Her eyes sharper than I'd seen in years. Let me be clear, she said. This isn't about guilt. Or pity. Or blood. This house became a symbol of silence, of shame and of secrets. I helped build that. I let fear control my choices for too long. But Jess. She turned toward me again. Jess is the one who told the truth. Even when it cost her everything. She didn't stay for money. She didn't stay for comfort. She left for dignity. And I won't let this house become another thing she has to recover from. So I'm giving it to her now, as a place she can rebuild, in peace, on her terms. I stood up slowly. Hands trembling. Voice unsteady. But heart pounding with something I hadn't felt in a long time, clarity. I looked around the table. At all the faces that had once turned away from me. And then I spoke. You all turned on me the moment things got uncomfortable. The moment I broke the silence. Not one of you asked why I left. You just assumed I was bitter. Angry. Lying. But the truth is, I loved this family. I trusted this family. And you all broke that. Quietly. But deeply. You believed the man who built this house more than the girl who cried inside it. You said I was the problem, because facing the truth meant admitting you looked away. I paused, my voice shaking. I don't want revenge. I don't need anyone to be punished. But I will take the house. Not because it's a prize. But because I earned my peace. And I'm done apologizing for surviving. Vanessa wiped her eyes. Grandma reached over and took my hand. No one else said a word. Not a protest. Not a defense. Just silence. Because finally, they heard me. 2 weeks later, I moved into the house. But not alone. Vanessa started coming by, little by little. We painted the walls. Tore up the old carpet. Removed the photos we didn't want to remember. We turned the house from a memory into a beginning. And the day we planted a tree in the front yard, Grandma came by, smiled, and said something I'll never forget. You're not rebuilding the house, she said. You're redeeming it. You can't change your past. But you can reclaim your future. Sometimes, the home you deserve is the one you fight hardest to return to.